Welcome to the Dodger Download, the official podcast of the Fort Dodge Community School District. Each episode brings you the latest updates from our schools, including school board recaps, interviews with educators, staff, and students, plus upcoming events and stories from around the district. Whether you're a parent, student, or community member, stay connected to what's happening in the Dodger Nation. Let's dive into this episode of the Dodger Download.
Welcome to the Dodge Download, the official podcast of Fort Dodge Community Schools. I'm Superintendent Josh Porter, and today's episode is talking about the Fort Dodge Community Schools Foundation. Whether you're a parent, student, or proud Dodger, we're glad you're here today. Before we dive into today's episode, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Unity Point Health of Fort Dodge. In Fort Dodge, care isn't just what we do, it's who we are. At Unity Point Health Fort Dodge, every nurse, every doctor, every specialist puts you at the center. From welcoming new life to guiding recovery, we deliver more than medicine. We deliver hope, compassion, and connection. Because here, it's not about patients and providers, it's about neighbors and helping neighbors. Today on Dodger Download, I'm excited to have with me today Nik Moser, the Fort Dodge Community Schools Foundation Director, a 2001 grad, current head football coach, and head boys track coach. Before we dive into today's topics and talking about the foundation, it's time for some board tidbits. On Monday night, we had our board meeting. First thing, we thanked our community, and I probably would like to do that here as well. Our bond passed at 74.68% rate. Only 18 of the 43 bonds in the state of Iowa passed. So super appreciative of our community and all of our patrons and the support they showed on November 4th. So overwhelming support, which was really nice to see from our community. So we took a moment to thank everybody for that. Also, shout out to Molly Nelson and Zach Mason for our two incumbents who are reelected to the school board, and then our newcomer. So Dan Scott got reelected. So Coach Moser's over here smiling a little bit. He was a foundation board director, or he was a board member on the foundation board, and now he's transitioning to the school board. Longtime board member Dan Altman did not run for reelection. And so on November 24th at our next board meeting, we will do our realignment. So all three will take the oath to join the board. And that time we'll realign to figure out who our next board president, vice president are at that time. So congratulations to those three individuals as well. So I think I talked about it on a previous podcast, but Fort Dodge Schools was awarded a CLS grant for literacy from the state of Iowa for about $150,000. That money has to be spent on professional learning and opportunities for teachers and administrators for literacy. So on Monday night, our director of curriculum, Terry Bozinger, started to spend some of that money. So we're going to utilize that for training with 95% group for all of our pre-K through 12 schools. So, and then finally to wrap up board tidbits, Stacy Laird did a board update, did a fantastic job really outlining the growth that's happened in the high school. So the school performance profile came out. I think there was some stories out there, that probably didn't portray exactly how well the Fort Dodge Senior High did. They grew by about 40 some points. They were actually in the next level up category, but got dropped down a level because of some special ed scoring, which happened. So that's reality. But really, the senior high has grown in a tons of areas, and it was exciting for her to be able to share that with the board and talk about what they're doing to address some of the issues that are still ongoing. So, and that's it for board tidbits. All right, so we are here with Nik Moser, or Coach Moser, as I call him more often than not. He is the foundation director for Fort Dodge Community Schools. Coach Moser, maybe just tell us a little bit, how long you've been there, a little bit of your background, a little bit of your history.
Yeah, so just started my fifth year, or coming up on my fifth year of being the foundation director, actually coming up on my sixth year. Time flies. So prior to that, I was in finance and banking, served as a board member for 9 years on the school foundation board prior to them ever having a director. Was a part of kind of the transition to try to hire a director. almost 12 years ago or so when that was. So been a lot of fun. You mentioned Dan Scott. Yeah, Dan was he was my president of the foundation, just took that over. And, hate to see him leave the foundation, but to go to the school board is a good step for him. All three of those that you mentioned, Zach was a former board member of the foundation. Molly was Molly was the original director when they moved back to town. So all three of those board members that you mentioned have a history with the foundation.
Yeah. It almost serves that like as a really good pipeline, right? So the foundation is, we're ultimately one-on-one. We're a great partner with the school. There's a lot of collaboration that happens. So it's almost like a natural transition. You're supporting the school in one way, and then you kind of come onto the school board and support it a whole nother way.
Yeah, we operate as a nonprofit, and the sole beneficiary is the Fort Dodge Community Schools. Yeah. So everything we're doing is to try to benefit the schools. Any area that, the general budget, the general funds aren't able to purchase something for teachers or for the school district, that's where we step in and we're able to provide that. So, in the last 6 years, just kind of going off of memory, we've probably given about $700,000, $750,000 in the last 6 years to the school district. We've had a lot of really cool projects. That anatomage table that we purchased for health occupations, along with our donors stepping up to do that. That was about $110,000, $115,000 purchase for that program. Yep. So have done a lot of really cool things in the last 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, that's one thing I was just going to ask next. We just went through a grant cycle. We made a few adjustments to grants, just be from a purchasing and a grant standpoint, and just to make things maybe a little bit easier on everybody. But what are some of those? We talked about the anatomage table, which is a hard word to say.
You could say it different. Everybody says it different.
Correct, but. Maybe just talk about grants a little bit and how teachers go about that and some of the items that we've purchased.
Yeah, so we have a process. We're moving to one grant cycle a year. In the past, we've done 2 grant cycles for probably the past 7 or 8 years. Prior to that, when I was on the board, we took them monthly. So we've transitioned a couple of different times on that. So a teacher is going to work with a building principal. The teacher is going to come up with something or have an idea of something that they think they need for their classroom that's going to benefit them. They're going to work with the building principal to see if the building has funds available to purchase that item. If they do, then it won't come to the foundation. But if the principal decides that there's not enough money in their building funds to purchase that, and it makes sense, it falls in a line for the mission of the school district, they'll write a 3-page grant to us, highlighting what they're getting, highlighting how it'll impact kids, the number of kids that it'll impact. We're not going to buy something that's going to impact 5 kids. We're going to buy something that's going to impact the number of kids. From there, it goes to Josh and Terry Bosinger, and they review it. And then 2 nights ago, it comes to our board, and our board will go through all of them, and they'll decide if they want to fund them or not. 2 days ago, it was awesome. We funded every request that came through. I think there was 10 or 11 grant requests that came through. We funded all of them, had discussion on some of them, but we're going to help pilot a program, 1,000 books before kindergarten. I think that was about cool. That was about a $10,000 request that we received. So you've been very vocal to our board that literacy is a huge part of the initiative for the school. So buying $10,000 worth of books and materials for that pilot program for preschool kids is really cool. So that was the one that really stood out to me. That we just approved.
I think we did some books for one of the other elementaries too. I can't remember, maybe Butler.
Yeah, it was Butler. We did holiday books.
Holiday books to redo some books. And so what is cool is we try to have a representative from the school. I try to be there most of the time. I'm not there every meeting, but probably 90% of the meetings. But what was really cool is one of the board members said, hey, if you look at all the projects, they're aligned with literacy or special education. So we did buy some some items for special ed classrooms, some sensory items, which we thought was really cool for them to have and enhance the experience for some of our kids with the greatest needs.
Yeah, it's really cool to see when you take grants, the different programs that come through. We've been really heavy in CTE probably the last 2 or 3 years. Yep. We've bought plasma cutters. We've bought different items for that program. We already discussed the anatomage table, but we had another one for skeleton models that we just funded. We've done CPR stuff in that
absolutely.
area. We've done PE before. We've done the watches for PE,
The heart rate
monitors.
Yep.
The Strider bikes at the ECC. So the kids at the ECC that are learning how to ride a bike, those Strider bikes were bought by the foundation.
My favorite thing about Strider bikes is when I walk in there and I get to watch all the kids on the Strider bikes, but even Coach Koenig riding his own Strider bike with his helmet on and scooting around the building.
Yeah, that I've seen that Facebook post before. It's pretty cool to see him do that. He's a good PE teacher for those level of kids, that age of kids.
He does an awesome job. He also coaches. He's our head girls wrestling coach. He coached assistant football coach for a long time. Super savvy with technology. He loves everything Fort Dodge, and so those Strider bikes were a great purchase. And
yeah, it's still at the ECC, the rock climbing wall. We purchased that.
Gotcha.
So
didn't know that.
There's been a lot of things that we discussed a couple days ago. Kimmy McCarville brought up, hey, putting stickers on items that we've bought, and man, we're going to start doing that because you could walk into your kids' classroom and there's a pretty good likelihood that something in that classroom was purchased by the foundation.
The foundation's touched it somewhere or another. So when you think about the foundation, and we've adjusted some things, our big fundraisers, the Go Big, Go Dodger event, but just talk about what are some of the goals that you have for the foundation, when you start thinking about like what other things we could potentially accomplish along the way? Yeah,
there's kind of two goals that I always have in mind when I'm talking about the foundation. One is to fund, the immediate, what is needed right now and what can we help provide right now. But then two, and the one that takes a little bit more time is when I leave, when I'm out of this job, when I'm, retired, I want the foundation, the money to live in perpetuity. And we have a long-term funds, and that's really a part that it's a little bit harder to grow. It takes a little bit more time. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit longer ask. I think we're at about $2.3 million. That is our long-term funds right now. It'd just be great to get that to a point where we're pulling off of interest and we can impact so much more. And we're getting there. When it was probably in 2010, I was on the finance committee, and it was like, man, the goal is to get to this money to $1 million. Well, we've gotten to the $1 million and doubled that. So we've received some long-term funds. Those might not make the impact right away, but they're going to affect generations to come.
Yeah. And this would kind of be not necessarily a shameless plug, but if you're a former Dodger or you're a Dodger graduate, or even if you're not a former Dodger, but you have a passion for Fort Dodge schools and you want to invest or give back and you want that to go back to Fort Dodge schools, the easiest way to do that is to work through the foundation. You start by talking with a director. You can reach out to Nick or myself. If you reach out to me, I'm going to direct and get you connected with Coach Moser. And then, he can talk about what that looks like and how it does it. We've kind of started to shift. We kind of moved away from scholarships being there a long time ago. We're kind of shifting back. So the school's held some scholarships. It's a little bit more difficult on the school side to do scholarships at the end of the year when people, we've had some, families or a family member passes away and they want to create a scholarship. Or for the school to hold it, it's a little bit more difficult. So we started transitioning those two back to the foundation, and they're happy to help and grow in that area a little bit?
Yeah, we're kind of taking on our first couple scholarships right now. So that'll be something new for us. I'm working with a couple of different attorneys right now on, long-term planning. So we would be a named beneficiary of people's estates. And like I said, that's a longer ask. You don't want to see people pass away. But you want to be named a beneficiary in their will and their trust, and that's something that will eventually happen. So working with a couple of those individuals now to try to get that set up, and really exciting stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how long I'll be on this earth, but you can take note that I obviously have a high level for Fort Dodge schools and passion for kids and education. So that's exactly what I would be doing with myself, as I get to a certain age, because hopefully my grandkids, my kids are going through the system. Hopefully someday I'll have grandkids going through Fort Dodge and getting a really cool experience similar to what you and I both had. Growing up.
The cool part about it is that we're not pigeonholed that we only support this aspect of the school.
Yeah.
So if you came to me and said, Nick, I want this money to go to band and choir, then absolutely we're going to take that and we're going to earmark that. So we do donor advised funds where you self-direct where you want the money to go. So we have a couple of different options for giving. You can give, and it'll go on our general account, and it'll impact a lot of different programs. But if you came to me and said, I want this money to go to just this certain area of the school, then we're going to do that. We have a swimming fund right now, the Friends of Fort Dodge Swimming. We have a fund with them that that money is going to only impact the swim program.
So that's been going on a long time.
Yeah. So we have that. We have a portion of our long-term money that is only going to go to the fine arts program. So a lot of different ways to give, and you can see how your money is going to impact kids.
Yep. I think that's awesome. And so a couple of things Coach Moser and I have been kind of working on a little bit. Maybe talk about when the Go Big Go Dodger event is. Some other things we're just kind of been throwing out there is some big ticket items, right? So we have a fall grant cycle. We're talking about having some particular fundraisers to, maybe attract individuals to donate to support the school. If, sometimes I come across, I'm like, hey, we have a really big project, but we can't just fund it. I'll just throw one example out there. We've talked about the baseball scoreboard a little bit. If we ever wanted to fully remodel something in the building, I think one thing the foundation's done in the last couple of years since I've been there is they've really turned to involve everything, right? From fine arts to athletics to academics, where at one point there was a big push where, hey, this is just academics.
It was academics only for a long time.
And I think with Coach Moser's involvement and a lot of activities that aren't just academics as well, some of the passion of the people on the board, I think, has pushed it as well. And then,
and we've had donors. We've had donors that have specifically said, I want this money to go to athletics. I want this money to go to the fine arts program. So academics are great, but there's areas that donors are going to be passionate about, and some of them are going to be in the extracurricular realm. If same with me when I pass, obviously I'm going to be passionate about football. So there's areas that people want their money to go to, and we've had success with that.
Absolutely.
You brought up the scoreboard, and that's kind of my next project. I think it's about $120,000 to replace a scoreboard at the stadium, at the baseball field. It's going to be a project that'll take a little bit of time, but it's much needed. If you go to a baseball game, you can't read the scoreboard. It's so faint that you can't see the score. So getting an all digital scoreboard that's very similar to the one that the football field has. That's kind of the next project that I'm going to run with. And again, money will come to the foundation, but we're going to turn around and give it right back to the school. So it's easier to probably work through the foundation to work through the school. in projects like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's probably good to note too, like sometimes how school funding works, right, is we have a list of priorities. Now we just passed a bond, so we have about $42 million in bond money that we cannot use that to replace the scoreboard at the stadium. With all those other projects going on, it's not really going to be something that's going to be a priority right now, but it's something that we could use right now. And those are the type of projects like I produce or come up with and say, hey, Nick, is a foundation interested, and it's kind of like when will the next one come about?
It's easier. It's easier to meet with people and say this is specifically what this money is going to be used for.
Yep.
Like I said, the general fund is great, but it's going to be easier if I go to you and say, Josh, make a donation of $5,000, and that money is going to be used specifically for this. That's why the anatomage table was fairly easy to raise the money for. The
super successful, awesome project.
Hospital got involved in it.
Yeah.
Dr. Schmoker in Missoula, Montana, made a donation for it.
Yeah.
So there was people that were passionate about it, and two of those people that made the donation was the hospital, who's going to see the benefit of our kids graduating with CNAs or wanting to get into the medical field. So they saw the need for it. They did a matching fund. And then Dr. Schmoker, who's in Montana, who's a graduate of senior high and is I believe a heart doctor out there, that him and his wife stepped up and made a donation. So really cool things. Yeah. You talked about the Go Big Go Dodgers event. Yes. That's April 19th. It's at the Larimar.
Is that Friday night?
It is a Friday night.
Friday night. Yep.
It is our one large kind of annual fundraiser. Absolutely. We want people obviously to attend, make donations to that, sponsor it, buy auction items. Really looking forward to this spring event. It will be bigger and better than what it's been in the past.
It's awesome. It's a really fun event, really casual, really laid back, but always have entertainment. Have a few words. We'll talk about the foundation. We'll talk a little bit. I usually say a little something at it, and talk about what's next up, and hopefully we have an opportunity to raise a bunch of money. Yeah, no, you said it's a casual event. It's Go Big Go Dodgers. You're going to be dressed just like how we're dressed right now. Wear your red and black. We're not in a shirt and tie. It's not a stuffy event by any means. It's a celebration of our schools. Yep. Is it a fundraiser? Yes, absolutely. It's a fundraiser, but it's really a time for everybody to get together that supports the Fort Dodge Community School District, for people that are Dodgers that want to get together, one time and celebrate our teachers, celebrate our kids, and celebrate the successes that we have. Yep. Well, absolutely. Well, before we kind of close off a little bit, I'd be remiss, you're also our head football coach, also head track coach. Spend some time in the weight room with guys in the summer, and I know you see those guys that are, we have some other individuals that run the weight room, but you spend some time in there with kids. So this fall was probably a little bittersweet. Had a pretty successful year. You just, maybe talk about the fall a little bit. End of the season 8-2. You win 80% of your football games, and if you look at the senior class, there's 11 of them. Not a very big group, but all 11 of them played. Yeah. And if you go the last 2 years, they won 75% of the games they played. Yeah. That doesn't happen all the time. I don't think there's a program right now in our school that's been to the playoffs 2 years in a row, or been to the state 2 years in a row and has won 75% of their games. So the senior class was a great class. They had a lot of success for us. This year was fun. Our all-district stuff's going to come out here this weekend. I think we had 19 kids that were recognized, either first, second, or honorable mention, all-district. That's a lot of kids. Yeah, a lot of recognition. Lot of kids. So that'll come out this weekend. Had a lot of success. Lost to two really good football teams. The Newton and Sergeant Bluff just got beat last night in the semifinals. Two teams that were talented enough to probably be in the state finals. So, you look at the two teams that you got beat by, they went on and did some pretty cool stuff for them. Beat two playoff teams, beat Waterloo West, who's a Class 5A playoff team,
and then beat Lamar's, who's a Class 4A playoff team. So, lost to those two, but still beat some good teams along the way, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, good. Yeah, it was fun to watch, and within a season, there's always ups and downs, but really commend. It's always good. I try to tell people whether you love football or don't love football, it's a real big driver in the fall. So when you can have a successful fall and your football team's winning football games, yeah, of course we would have loved to win a playoff game and be in the dome. But that's a tough task for anybody to accomplish. But when that happens, the whole school year starts differently when you can have success in the fall. And you look at our football games. I mean, we have issues at the concession stand because there is just so many people there.
Yep.
So our community shows up, and we have a good student section. You don't see a lot of visitors sometimes, but we have a lot of people that come over. There's a lot of Fort Dodge people on the visiting side at times as well. So.
No, you're exactly right. If you have a great fall, I've heard it from a number of people. If the fall goes well, the school year seems to go better. So
leads right into winter. Hopefully helps basketball and wrestling and swimming, things like that. There's a lot of activities that go on. So
so it was really cool to be in the new locker room facility.
I was going to ask about.
And we've had a couple of. That's where I office for the foundation. That's where I'm at, kind of all the time. I've gotten a lot of, one-on-one tours. If you're ever curious, stop by. I'm going to be there. I'll take you through that. We've had different school districts that have come that I've given tours to. It's really cool when a Class 5A program reaches out to you and says, we want to see what you guys have. We're thinking about doing something, and all we've heard is how great yours is. And those athletic directors, those principals walk away and go, wow, this is amazing. This is exactly what we could use. So really fortunate to have that. And, I know it was something that's been talked about here for a long time, and credit to you, Josh, for actually making it happen. We've had a lot of people have talked about, we've had a lot of people talk about doing something like that, but you're the first person to actually make it happen.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a great project, and I think most importantly, seeing the kids in there and how much they enjoy being in that locker room. And the locker room that we grew up was a little different. These kids got a whole different experience, and that's probably at the end of the day for us, that's what it's about. We can create a good experience for kids. Awesome locker room, awesome facility, and Dodger Stadium is just a really cool place in general.
Yep. No, it turned out really, really great.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for joining me today. All right, before we wrap up today, just want to once again thank Nik Moser, the director of Fort Dodge Community Schools Foundation, for joining me today. As we wrap up, any final thoughts about the foundation or coaching Fort Dodge schools in general?
No, it's just I think there's a buzz around our schools right now. You talked about the bond issue passing, at almost 75%. We talked about Dodger Stadium, project. I think it's a really good time to be involved in the schools. There's a lot of really cool things that are happening. There's a lot of really cool things that are happening with our teachers and our students. It's a great, I've always seen the bumper sticker, it's great to be a Dodger. And right now I think it's a really great time to be a Dodger.
Yeah. Awesome. And you talk about teachers. This is the first time, and I was just meeting with HR the other day, that we are starting to get multiple applicants for multiple jobs. And so at one point it was like no applicant, then it was like one applicant. And now we're getting to part where I think people want to be a part of it. And that's good. Kudos to our administrators and our students, and for hopefully creating that environment a little bit. So as I wrap up today, preschool registration for our staff started today, but you will see preschool registration probably open up. I think it opens up next week for our community. So Fort Dodge Schools, you saw, I had Nicole Ahrens on my podcast. She oversees our preschool. She's a preschool director. We offer a full-time preschool at the ECC, so it's a full-time, full-day preschool, which is awesome. This year, we're also going to have a teacher that offers half-day. So we have had lots of requests for people that wanted to have a half-day preschool. So those parents and people that want to attend the ECC will have the ability to have either AM or PM preschool if they want that, but we'll still offer a full, I think we have about 10 teachers that offer full day preschool, which is usually the desired spot, but we have had some half day offerings. We're also partnering with a daycare that's going to transport kids back and forth. So if those families that have half day preschool need daycare, they'll have an option to send their kids to a daycare. So which is really cool for our community a little bit. Thanks again to our sponsor for today's episode, Unity Point Health. Once again, I just want to thank you for joining us. If you have a chance, like, subscribe, follow us on all of our social media platforms. We have a full YouTube channel. If you want to check out our fall activities or our winter activities, there's a lot of things on our YouTube channel. You'll be able to catch live basketball games, both boys and girls, right in our home Dodger gym. So thanks for joining us today, and go Dodgers.
Thank you for listening to the Dodger Download, your source for all things Fort Dodge schools. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share with your friends, family, and fellow Dodgers. For more update and resources, visit us at fdschools.org or follow the Fort Dodge Community School District on social media. Until next time, keep showing that Dodger pride. This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.